Alright guys, I have a weird little story for you. So, I was watching a Rare Urban Legends video just now from Trust Me Bro, and there's a video up on screen, and there was a point in the video where he brought up an urban legend where three girls were in Mexico City, or just in Mexico in general, and they would abduct these men and do something with them, like kill him and do like a ritual. So, it got me thinking back to the time in high school where I was walking home from school. This was probably like my freshman or sophomore year, and I just remember like I was almost home, like more than halfway to my house. It was only like a 5 minute walk pretty much left to the house. And, I was minding my own business. I was walking down on this hill, and then all of a sudden, this car stopped next to me with like these teenage girls who I assumed were probably slightly older than I was. And they were like, "Hi," like just being really friendly to me, and just like looking at me. Like all of them were like looking at me, and one of them, like the driver, was like, "Hi, we know your sister. Do you want to ride home?" And I just stood there like, huh? Like, my sister? I really should have asked, like, even though I shouldn't have, like, proceeded with it, like, I could have asked, like, alright, what's my sister's name? Because I do have a sister. So maybe, this whole situation wasn't like a possibly like, very awful, scary situation that I could have got myself into, and like they actually did know my sister and they were like genuinely offering me a ride, because like when we were all teenagers, as boys, if like a group of teenage girls, was to, you know, pull on the side of the road and stop beside you and like, "Hey, we know your sister, do you want to ride home?" And like there's four of them in that car. Like, I think most teenage boys in that position would get in the car with them. But like, I've always had like a hunch of like, this could end up being like a very cool situation for sure. But I had like an inkling in the back of my mind that was just telling me like, "Hey, don't like do this. This could be very bad." So I didn't ask them like, you know, "Hey, what's my sister's name?" Because it just felt like it just was like too weird and too good to be true as well. So I kind of just, was like, "No, I'm almost home. I don't really need a ride." And then like, "Are you sure?" Like I vaguely remember them like asking me like, "Are you sure you don't want to ride? We'll give you a ride. We'll happily give you a ride." And just all of them were like smiling at me. And I was like, "No, I'm good. Thank you." And I just like drove off. And yeah, I just remember like just standing there like walking like, what the fuck just happened? It was very weird. Um, you know, I wish there was like such thing as alternate timelines, where I could go back in time and just like see what would happen if like I did pursue going into that car. It would have been, I don't know, probably like not a good thing. Obviously, like I'm sure like I made a correct, decision. Who knows what would have happened? So there's no denying that. But I'm genuinely curious what would have happened had I gone inside that car, to be honest. So yeah, that was the time I, either missed out of the best day of my life, or I luckily saved myself from anything very much worse happening to me had I gone in that car. So yeah, I just wanted to tell this story. There's been a lot of risque video topics that I've been doing on this channel for the past couple of uploads. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let me do something less risque. Let me talk about an abduction story. me possibly getting abducted. So yeah, let me know if anything has happened to you guys in the comments below. If not, like and sub, and I'll see you guys next episode, or next fucking episode, next video. Bye bye.